In this movie, we're going to be learning how to add and subtract integers. The reason why it's important for you to learn how to add and subtract integers is because if you don't, it will make learning high school algebra extremely difficult, and you'll just have a lot of trouble in school from this point forward. So it's a good idea to buckle down and learn how to do this now, and it'll make all your math from here on out a lot easier. Okay, here's some things you need to know in the context of this video. First, a negative sign and a minus sign mean the same thing. And in this case, a negative sign and a minus sign mean to change the direction you're going on the number line. Always assume you're moving in a positive direction unless you're told to change directions. For example, 8. We're going to assume we're moving in a positive direction. There is not a negative or minus sign in front of it, so that just means we're going to move 8 in a positive direction, or 8 forward. Another example is negative 8. We're always going to assume we're moving in a positive direction unless we're told to go in the opposite direction. In this case, the minus sign in front of the 8 means change direction. So now we're going to go towards the negative numbers. A negative 8 means change direction and go 8. In this video, we're going to learn how to add and subtract integers using color beans. And what I do is I use lima beans, and I color one side of them, and I spray paint one side of them black. I think it's easier to use the colors white and black, or I call it white and shaded, because the kids can draw these on their paper by filling in the circle, and shading it will represent the black, and the open circle will represent the white. So I refer to this whole everything as white and shaded. Some things you need to know about the beans. The white side of the bean means you have a positive answer. The shaded side means you have a negative answer. One positive and one negative cancel out. And to change directions, simply you're just going to flip the bean over. So when you see a negative or minus sign, you'll flip the bean over. Always assume you're moving in a positive direction until you're told to change direction. Okay, I'm going to start with some really simple problems just to get you started, and then we'll move on to some higher numbers. In this example, we're going to be looking at negative 3 plus 6. The first step is to put a circle around the number and the sign that, and all the signs that are directly in front of that number. In this case, the negative 3 is circled and the plus 6 is circled. We start by laying beans for each circle that we've made. Now, we always start in a positive direction, so I always start with my bean on white. For the first circle, we have a negative 3. The negative means we need to change directions. So to change the directions, we flip the beans over. So on the negative 3 will be represented by 3 shaded beans. The plus 6, the plus doesn't do anything to change directions. And since we always start out in a positive direction on white, there's nothing to flip these beans over. So we'll have 6 positive white beans. Okay, so here we are with our 6 positive white beans. A positive will cancel out a negative, the same way negative 1 plus 1 equals 0. So as you can see, I've canceled out a black and a white in groups, and what we have left over are 3 white beans. That means our answer is positive 3. Here's another example, negative 5 plus negative 3. We're going to follow the exact same steps that we used in the last problem to come to our answer. First, what you need to do is circle the number with all of the signs in front of it. So here we've circled the -5, and then we've also circled the 3 with the negative and the plus sign circled because it has to be all of the signs in front of that number because those are the signs that go with that number. Next, we lay out our beans. We lay out a row of beans for each circle that we've made. In the first circle, we always start on positive white. We're always going in a positive direction until we're told to change directions. And in this case, we do have a -5, so we are going to need to change directions. So we change direction, and we're on the shaded side of the bean now. We lay out 5. So we have 5 shaded beans representing -5. Next, we lay out the beans for the second circle. Again, always starting in a positive direction. Now we can look at our operations. A plus sign isn't going to do anything to change directions, but we do have a negative sign. So that's going to mean to flip the bean over and go in the opposite direction. Okay, so now we've changed directions and laid out 3 beans. We have all shaded beans. There's nothing that will cancel out. We don't have a white and a black that will cancel out. So since we have all shaded, we're going to go ahead and count up all the beans that we have that are shaded. And because they're shaded, our answer will be negative. So we have -8 as our answer. Here's another example. In this particular case, we're subtracting. So we have -4 minus a -5. Following the same steps that we did before, we circle the number and all of the signs that are in front of that number. Next, we lay out beans for each circle. We always start in a positive direction, so we always start on white. Because of the negative sign on the 4, the negative sign means change direction, so we flip the beans over and we put out 4. Now we're going to lay the beans out for the second circle. We always start in a positive direction, so we always start on white. But first we see that there's a minus sign, and a minus sign is going to mean to change direction. When we change direction, we have to flip the bean to the shaded side. But now we also see there's a negative on that 5. So the negative also means to change direction. So we're going to have to change direction by flipping the bean over again. So now the bean is white and it's positive, and we're going to lay out 5. Here we have our 5 white beans. Now we do our final step, which is to cross out a black for a white. And when we do that, we end up with 1 white bean left, and the white means positive, so our answer is 1.